Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Bloodborne PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the Tonitrus, which is a weapon that I was actually fairly disappointed in when I finally got my hands on this game. Now, the reason I say that, it's not a bad weapon, don't get me wrong, but before the game was released there was a text dump that outlined some of the details on some weapons, mostly just some of their stats and their item descriptions. And the stats, or rather the item description on this one, describes it as a flail-like weapon. I assumed, ball and chain flail, not a mace. So, slightly disappointing, but not the biggest deal. But still not a real flail, you know what I mean? So, that's what I mean by that. But anyway, on topic, the Tonitrus. Now this weapon, it requires 12 strength and 8 skill in order to use. It has a B scaling in strength, an E scaling in skill, and a C scaling in arcane. Now this weapon can be picked up in the Unseen Village, in Yargul Unseen Village, or it can be purchased after you defeat Dark Beast Parl with whatever badge that is that he gives you. Lightning Beast badge? I don't know, something like that. Its physical base damage is 160, and for me, the attack rating with this weapon is around 450, with average blood gems ranging between 18 and 21%. So, that's that. Now, this weapon, its first form, it is what it is. I mean, this weapon technically doesn't really have a secondary form, considering that its secondary form, it's just a buff. It keeps the same moveset. There's nothing different other than your damage output, which is kind of sad, kind of unfortunate. Even the Chikage has a different moveset slightly, so it's still a disappointing weapon, but for different reasons in this case. Now, the weapon, it's got medium sweeping R1s, medium speed sweeping R1s, and they are more of an angled attack, and that can cause some problems. The angled slash of them can lead to you missing, actually. Now, for the most part, the attack, when you first wind up, you cross from your right to your left, so you leave your right side slightly exposed, actually, and that can cause some real issues. Same goes for your charged R2s, or rather your uncharged R2s. Your uncharged R2 is an angled slash, and again, that can cause some issues. Dashing attacks, they're just straightforward thrusts, not really, whoops, sorry about that, knocked the mic, not really all that great. I mean, they're useful, they're quicker than the normal R1s, but they're linear, and they don't track well. The charged R2 is the most useful attack on the weapon in my opinion. It's a very wide swing, and if you unlock with that, you can actually go around 360 degrees and cover a wide range. And that can catch people off guard. It can deal some massive damage as well, so that's something you really want to try and get quite often with this weapon. Now, the buff that this weapon has when you try to go to your secondary form, what it does, everything's exactly the same, and the lightning buff scales with your arcane scaling. Now, these numbers right here I got from the guide. So according to the guide, the buff adds 40 bolt damage, it adds 40% extra bolt scaling, and 1.7 times bolt damage increase. Bolt damage up. So essentially what that means is you're just going to do more damage, and the more arcane you have, the better the damage will be. With my attack rating as it is, the buff for me with my, I think it's 10 arcane that I have on this build, the buff brings my attack rating up to around 620, I think. Either way, it's a considerable number, so you really do want to try and keep the buff on at all times, because that makes the weapon so much more viable. And you really need to take what you can get with this weapon, considering it's got a very limited number of attacks. Even in comparison to the other weapons in this game, this one has a lot fewer attacks than most, which is kind of sad. In all honesty, it really kind of is. And I'm extra disappointed in this weapon because I expected more from it to begin with, so if this showcase does seem a tad bit biased against it, sorry, but I mean, this thing disappointed me, in all honesty it did, so that's that. Now, as far as baits with this weapon, you don't really have anything overly special. The standard turnaround, unlock, charge up an R2 and then turn back around, free aiming it at the person, that works just as well with this as it will with any other weapon. And considering how good this weapon can be with its R2 attacks, and how far around you can spin with them, well, it can be kind of scary. And if your opponent does end up trying to attack you when you hit them and you can get some counter damage against them, like I did on that last guy, that 800 some odd damage, yeah, that can be a consistent thing. That's not unusual with this weapon. And I'm only using average blood gems. Keep that in mind, guys. I'm using average blood gems. I could put on 27%. I could have better arcane scaling. There's a lot I could do to make this weapon more powerful, but I didn't. It's just not, it doesn't fit with my build, so it is what it is. So other than that, pros of the weapon, I mean, it does lightning damage. That can be very, very, very good in PvE against certain enemies. So ones that come to mind in particular, the slimes that you tend to find in Chalice dungeons, this thing will destroy them easily. It's good to have on hand. Other PvE purposes, just anything that's got a general weakness to lightning, things like the, not beasts, but the alien-like ones, the kin is what they're called, stuff like that. This will do good work against them. Against other players, it's alright, nothing special. So, cons of the weapon, it's somewhat short, and the angled attacks can cause you to miss, even when you're locked down, even when your opponent's right there, right in front of your face, you can still miss them. And that can even happen with a charged R2, actually. I've had that happen to me fairly frequently, where the R2 just passes right through them for no good reason. I'm not sure if it's not got active frames at that point in the swing, active damaging frames at that point during the swing or not, but it's happened a few times to me, so watch out for that as well. But anyway, that's all I've got to say for this showcase, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, found it helpful in one way or another. Please like, subscribe, and if you are interested in supporting the channel further than that, I've got a Patreon that you're welcome to come check out. And if you're not interested in that, no harm, no foul, no pressure. Either way, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time.